Placing her palms to the underside of the table, she swiftly rose to her feet and rammed it broadside against the two men, shoving them backwards until they collided against the refrigerator and back door. She heard the sound of glass breaking as the vase of flowers slid onto the floor. A gun went off, but the slug plowed into the ceiling. She no longer tried to convince herself she could handle this alone. Without her full powers or the ability to fly, she was helpless. Throwing herself out of the kitchen, she grabbed the cell phone off the couch and raced for the front door. Unlocking it, she slammed it open. A large, black shape blocked her way. The barrel of an AR-15 pointed directly at her. She jumped aside a microsecond before the weapon fired. Instinctively, she threw the door back into the man's face and bolted for the rear of the house. With no other choice, she ducked and ran for the bathroom. It was the only room in the house with a door that locked. If she was lucky, those precious seconds it would take them to break through it might give her enough time to crawl out of the window. Once inside the bathroom, she locked the door and went over to open the window. It was stuck, good and solid, and she didn't have enough strength to shove it open or to ram through it. Not knowing what else to do, she got into the bathtub where she'd be out of range in the event the men tried to blast their way inside. Opening the phone, she hit the 911 button. 911, what is your emergency? There are 3 men at my house with guns, she breathily managed to say. Send the police, now. Please hold. What? The wooden door exploded under the barrage of bullets, sending shards like shrapnel everywhere. The shower's glass doors shattered inward, and Embry felt a few pieces ripping into her clothing and peppering her arms and the back of her hands as she tried to protect her face. The guns belched again until there was nothing left of the bathroom door except the hinges. Embry stared in horror at the doorknob lying on the floor next to the toilet. Too late. She realized she should have made a run for it when she'd had the chance. She should have gone out the back kitchen door and called for help once she'd reached a relatively safe zone. Panic started to set in. Fear made breathing almost impossible as she waited for the men to enter the bathroom and gun her into hamburger meat. Squeezing her eyes shut, she willed herself to remain strong. Strong for her real mother and father, who had given her life. For Mama Mary and Papa Pug, who had given her a second chance at life. But most of all, for Sloane, without whom there would be no life. Sloane. She would spend her final seconds thinking of him, of how much she loved him. A vision of his face floated in her mind's eye as her lips formed his name. My Sloane. Hunching down inside the tub, she curled into a little ball and waited. A blast went through the house, followed immediately by a second, a third, and a fourth in rapid succession. Embry flinched, fully expecting to feel the bullets tear into her. There was a fifth blast before she realized the sound of that gun was totally different from the noise the other men's guns made. Someone approached the bathroom. The tread of heavy feet crunched over broken wood and glass. With nothing to use as a weapon, Embry clutched her hands into fists, prepared to fight with every last ounce of strength she could muster. A figure came into view. She caught sight of the barrel of a high-powered rifle, and her need to survive took over. Throwing open the broken shower door, she reached for the gun to wrench it from the man's hands, and tried to ignore the pain as the metal burned her hands. A deep voice growled at her as she managed to wrestle it from him and aimed it directly at his chest. "Hey, hold on! I'm here to save your ass!" He held up both hands as she stared at him in shock. She saw his eyes drop down to the side of the gauze pad visible above her blouse's neckline before he looked back up at her. "I came to get you out of here before more of those assholes show up." He glanced again at the bandage, and realization dawned on her. The mugshot in the folder. "You're McElroy." He gave a nod. "You took a bullet for my little girl, and I always pay my debts."